In the movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, the character Jordan Belfort is a stockbroker who engages in unethical and fraudulent behavior in order to make money. The movie ultimately presents his actions as signs of his greed and lack of morality, rather than wisdom or intelligence. The idea that those who deceive people are probably wise is a misconception that has been repeated for a while. This belief stems from the idea that deception is a sign of intelligence or shrewdness. However, in reality, deceiving people is not a positive trait. Deception should not be seen as a sign of wisdom. It is an exercise in gradual self-destruction, a slow fragmentation of the soul. One example is the case of the Enron scandal in the early 2000s. Enron, once considered one of the most innovative companies in the world, engaged in accounting fraud and deception, which eventually led to its downfall. The executives who engaged in these deceptive practices were not seen as wise, but rather as unethical and greedy. The Enron scandal is now recognized as one of the most significant examples of corporate greed and deception in modern history. According to a study by the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, organizations lose an estimated 5% of their revenue to fraud each year. This suggests that deception and fraud are not positive traits, but rather a significant problem that can have negative consequences for individuals and society as a whole. Deceiving people is unethical and can have adverse results for all involved. When individuals deceive others, they act in a way that is dishonest and manipulative. This can cause harm to the individuals who are being deceived, as well as to society as a whole. Deception can erode trust and lead to a breakdown in relationships, which can ultimately harm the well-being of individuals and communities. Those who deceive people often exhibit a lack of empathy and concern for others. They are more focused on achieving their own goals and objectives, regardless of the impact on others. This is not a sign of wisdom, but rather a sign of selfishness and self-centeredness. Those who are truly wise understand the importance of treating others with respect and dignity, and would not engage in behaviors that harm others. Deceiving people can also be seen as a sign of insecurity or a lack of confidence in oneself. Those who feel the need to deceive others may be doing so because they feel that they cannot achieve their goals through honest means. This is not a sign of wisdom, but rather a sign of weakness and a lack of self-assurance. Some may argue that deceiving people can be perceived as wise because it can come across as strategic or clever. Those who exhibit this trait may be seen as being able to outsmart others or to achieve their goals in a more efficient way. However, it is important to note that deception is not a sustainable or ethical way to achieve one's objectives. It may lead to short-term gains, but in the long run, it will ultimately harm individuals and society as a whole. According to the dark triad personality traits, individuals who exhibit traits such as Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy may be more likely to engage in deceptive and manipulative behavior. These traits are often seen as negative, as they can lead to harm for others and can damage social relationships. This suggests that those who deceive others are not seen as wise, but rather as manipulative and untrustworthy. The idea that those who deceive people are probably wise is a misconception that is not rooted in reality. Deceiving people is not a positive trait and can have negative consequences for all involved. It is unethical, shows a lack of empathy and concern for others, and is often a sign of insecurity or a lack of confidence. While some may perceive those who exhibit this trait as wise, it is important to recognize that deception is not a sustainable or ethical way to achieve one's objectives. Ultimately, true wisdom is demonstrated by treating others with respect and dignity and by acting in a way that promotes the well-being of all. We must challenge our acceptance of deception and manipulation and recognize the harm that can be caused by those who prioritize their own interests over the well-being of others. It is important to understand that wisdom is not just about intelligence or cunning, but also about ethical values, principles, and a deep consideration of consequences. We must strive to promote honesty and integrity in our own lives and in our interactions with others. If you like this video, share it and subscribe to this channel.